Good morning, Saints. I'm Luisa Fontana.
And I'm Jack Henderson.
And welcome to another broadcast of SFHS Today.
In international news, last Wednesday, President Donald Trump announced that the conditions have been met between Turkey and the Syrian Democratic Forces for what he refers to as a permanent ceasefire. The president also stated that the United States is lifting the sanctions on the capital of Turkey, Ankara, which were put in place after the invasion of northern Syria.
In national news, the past Saturday, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration hosted a drop-off zone at San Francisco Police Department and Anoka County Sheriff's Office where people could drop off their vaping utensils to be incinerated. This is an annual event known as the Take Back Day.
It was so easy to get them. They're everywhere. I was doing really stupid stuff to get more. Buying pills from kids, sneaking them from my friends' parents' bathroom at parties. I even stole from my grandmother's medicine cabinet. I had no idea that it could get this bad.
Keep them safe. Clean them out. Take them back. DEA Take Back Day is Saturday, October 26th. Find a collection site near you at deatakeback.com.
On a serious note, St. Francis High School graduate Reilly Hoopman died in a car accident. Reilly, who graduated with the class of 2017, was killed while driving on Highway 65 when his car went off the road and he crashed into a traffic light. He was pronounced dead at the scene. His funeral was held on Thursday, October 24th at St. Patrick's Catholic Church.
On Sunday, October 20th, the parents of Nickolas Engler hosted a highway cleanup on Sims Road.
Nick passed away in 2012 in a dirt bike accident. He would have graduated this school year with the class of 2020. We'll go to reporters Brett Overvold, Jordan Haller, and Marissa Panicoke, who have more on remembering Nick.
As the seniors of the class of 2020 started thinking about their graduation, a number of students looked around at all of these first lasts and felt a hole in their midst.
I don't go a day without thinking about him and the things he would have done in life.
9-year-old Nickolas Engler was an avid motocross biker and was wearing all of the proper equipment when he went to a homemade dirt track near his house in Oak Grove, according to a Star Tribune article. He had gotten his parents' permission to be on the track and was very familiar with it. On the evening of April 20th, 2012, the unimaginable happened, and everyone's lives changed forever.
You know, not too long after Nick passed away, his parents got us a jersey, and since the time Nick would have entered high school, your guys' freshman year, that jersey's been framed and hanging in our weight room.
The frame of that jersey was brought down to the track on senior night at the home game against Cambridge, where it was honored among all of the other senior portraits.
As a parent, I can't imagine how hard it is to lose a child. As a classmate, and knowing, you know, as the older you get, the sad part about life is the more you deal with loss. And for his classmates and for his family to have to deal with that at such a tragic young age is almost incomprehensible. And you know, it's tough to watch, and we're sad that it happened.
As sad as it is to think about the tragic accident that happened, we still try to look back on all the good memories we shared with our classmate.
Favorites. Well, me and Nick were really close from like 3rd grade, 4th grade, and my favorite was when we would bring snacks for each other to share, and we would switch snacks.
Nick's mom was my babysitter when I was younger, so I guess you could kind of say we grew up together. Me and Nick rode the bus together in elementary school. And I just remember Nick by the big smile he always had on his face and being a really nice person and being a really good friend.
Nick was super funny. He always made everyone laugh. Me, him, and Cole Avery used to always sit at the lunch table together and we just make jokes all the time.
I just want to make sure Nick is remembered and not forgotten.
Nick's 4th grade class got together and made a list of all the things they wanted to do in order to celebrate his life.
I sent this list to your parents, like 4th grade parents, and I was like, these kids came up with this long list of stuff they want to do, and all of your parents came together and like made it happen. I did not do a thing. Between Tyler's mom doing the balloons and like helium, you could not get helium back then. It was like there was a shortage of helium for the balloons, so it was really hard to find somebody to donate a helium tank. But we found that. We got the tent because it was really windy that day and we don't want the balloons to go everywhere, so we had to like house them in a tent. And we had a t-shirt design. Somebody put together a graphic for that, and then we had the t-shirts made. Somebody donated the tree that then we planted.
on my truck window, I have a sticker that says, "In loving memory of Nickolas Engler," with the number 9 in the middle, which is his baseball number that year. And that same year, on all the jerseys, they sent him back in and had a patch made on all the sleeves so that everyone would remember who he was. And every year we do a road cleanup right by the Cedar Creek Elementary School along Sims Road.
So a lot of those things, I think, just helped the kids to cope with the loss of a classmate and kind of end the year feeling somewhat positive and just kind of like a little family as a group. And
The memory of Nick will always be in our hearts, and who he was as a person will never be forgotten.
He was just the kind of kid where he just made everyone happy. Like, he didn't have an enemy in the world. He was just a positive kid and just brightened everyone's day.
Nickolas came from such a good family, and his parents and his little brother, I think, just played a huge part in who he was, just because he was so kind. I mean, if you know his parents, they are incredibly giving, and they continue to do things in his memory all the time, but in a giving way. You know, they give the scholarship, and they work with the road cleanup that you guys did the other weekend. And they're just constantly trying to remember him, like, in positive ways by giving back. And that's just who he was as a person. He was selfless and a hard worker and had lots of friends. He worked hard at everything he did.
What I would tell you is that his legacy lives on in this interview. It lives on in his classmates. It lives on in the people that knew him and still remember him and wish he were here. And I don't think that is something that'll ever get taken away.
In more school news, this week will be the annual National Honor Society induction ceremony. This year's junior students will be inducted into NHS this Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the PAC. In arts news, the SFHS Music Department had its first concerts of the year last week.
The choirs performed on Monday and the band on Thursday in the PAC. With Halloween approaching, there are plenty of scary attractions to get you into the spirit of the holiday. For this week's 5 Minutes of Fame, reporter Sophie Duroy went to the Dead End Hayride in Wyoming, Minnesota, to interview a few of our school students who are working there.
Let's see what they have to say.
Student celebrities everywhere, this is why you should care about 5 Minutes of Fame.
Well, I work in every seat pretty much. I'm part-time this year, so I move everywhere, but I would say the seat I work in the most would be the graveyard.
I'm full-time this year, and the place I work most is the catacombs.
I started out as an intern at the beginning of this year, but they just promoted me, so I'm working in Clown Barn.
Well, I started working here because my family works there, and so I started working there because of my family.
I started working there because of her.
Yeah, Jake recruited me, so that's why I'm there.
So getting ready, you'll check in with your manager, and then you'll go back into our costume area, which is where I usually work back there before the show. And you'll come around in a circle, you'll figure out your costume, you'll grab your costume. You'll go up to our makeup area, and then you'll wait in line there, and then you'll go up to our many fantastic makeup artists up there. And then you'll get your makeup done, and then eventually when it's time to go out, we'll have an end meeting, and just to hype everyone up and go for it. And then everyone gets their costumes on and heads up to their scene.
Most of the makeup that we do there is like airbrush. Most of the time it's airbrush because we have to get people out and through super fast because there's so many of us. But yeah, it's pretty easy. Makeup doesn't take very long. Costuming doesn't take long at all.
One of my favorite memories is when I was working in our asylum, and I was in technically our crib room, and a girl walked by me and I scared her, and she walked out and ended up peeing, and then one of our actors ended up laying in it.
My favorite memory is probably, happened multiple times, is scaring someone and they run into the giant rat and they get very scared.
All of my favorite memories have to do with people coming through who are scared of clowns, because they're obviously super freaked out. But I had a guy who was holding his wife's hand like this last weekend, and he freaked out so bad that he accidentally punched his own wife in the face. She was fine, but it was pretty funny.
My favorite way would either be, so like, if a couple's like holding hands, and then usually when you scare them, they'll let go. So then you'll grab their hands or like walk behind them if they're in a conga line. And then eventually they'll notice you're there and then they'll freak out.
I like to do jump scares a lot and then just follow the most scared person, and then I like to grab the tallest person's hoodie and bend backwards and look at the person behind them.
I'm a fan of jump scares too because I have a good spot for that, but also just a good old still scare. I'm just standing there, I'm waiting. And some people get so freaked out at the slightest movement after you've been staying still for a long time, and it's good stuff.
Now it's time for this week's RQT. In the spirit of Halloween, the question of the week is, what is your biggest fear? Let's see what our students have to say.
It's the random question thing, ding.
What's your biggest fear?
Probably be paralyzed from flips.
Probably be after my plan after high school doesn't pan out.
Spiders. One time I was running from a spider and I broke my $800 flat screen TV.
What's your biggest fear?
The dark.
That would be ghosts or demons.
My biggest fear is probably dragonflies, just because they're really creepy looking.
Probably that some sort of elaborate plan leads to my death, like say a zucchini falls out of an airplane, lands on an anthill, makes the ants mad, the ants bite a bear, the bear goes up to my grandma's house, hurts my grandma, and then we have to go to the hospital for my grandma, and then there's a serial killer there waiting for me.
All right, now it's time for this week's Drip Alert. Let's see what our students have been wearing.
You follow fashion, we follow you. This is Drip Alert.
Drip, 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 drip. What's your style?
NBA Youngboy, or I don't know, like I would say like Chopper, something like that. I don't know, or like just to, like I just do everything like Youngboy or something, like mostly Youngboy though.
Where you cop them threads at, son?
Chicago, online, something like that. Yeah.
What stores?
I got it from this outlet. It's called like Urban, something like Urban Central or something like that. It's all the way in Chicago. And yeah, like every time I just go there just to visit, I just go there just to get clothes, you know.
The hip hop culture has influenced my style the most, and probably Lil Skies if I be specific.
And where do you buy your clothes at?
The shirt I got from PacSun, the jeans are from PacSun, and my shoes are from Tommy Hilfiger.
Republican politics. My family, my friends are all Republicans.
And where do you buy your clothes at?
EEBrothers.com. Who or what inspired your style?
No inspiration. I'm my own style creator.
And where did you get your clothes?
LL Bean and Levi's.
How fast do you think you run those shoes?
Real fast. Watch.
Now, before we finish this week's broadcast, we'll head over to Mason Felt to see what's been going on in SFHS sports.
Hey Saints, I'm Mason, and welcome to sports. Kicking off the spooky holidays, the Saints have had an amazing fall season in many sports. Girls soccer made it into postseason play with the best record they've had in over 30 years, according to their coach.
This year's a little bit different because we have a lot of girls that play on select teams in the summer and they've trained all year long. So we have a lot younger team than normal, but they train just a ton. They train 3 or 4 days a week all winter long and play all the time. So their talent is way higher than we've had in the past. Our overall record this year was the third best record we'd had in our soccer program in the last 32 years.
What made this year different from the others?
There's definitely a lot more freshmen on the team, so that's been much more different.
I mean, we have more freshmen on the team that we've had in the past, but we also have still 8 seniors in our program, so it's not that different. I guess the difference would be kind of back to the last question, is that we just need to learn to work with each other because they didn't know each other, being 9th through 12th graders, so that's been a little bit different.
How has being on varsity your freshman year helped you transition into high school?
It makes you feel more welcomed because you already know like upperclassmen that are already in high school, so you don't really feel alone.
How does it feel to play varsity as a freshman?
I feel very accomplished. I'm very proud of myself, and it's way different than last year.
There's a lot better chemistry this year, and I think it's because of all the team bonding that we've been doing. We did a lot more team bonding this year than we have in previous years. I think that just really brought everybody closer together and kind of made it more fun to be on the field, but also made it a lot easier to work together.
Their talent has always been there as a group. It's just learning to work with different people that they don't play with all the time, and so they really have kind of bonded and just overall just worked together really well.
The football team headed into their second postseason game against Coon Rapids on Friday. Girls volleyball took a win against Duluth East in their first postseason game. Boys soccer went to state for the first time in almost 25 years and were named conference champs. It's been an exciting season for our teams for sure. Last Thursday, the high school took some time off during fifth hour to celebrate the boys soccer team in a pep fest that sent them on the way to the state tournament in St. Cloud. Unfortunately, they lost 6-1 against Blake in the semifinals, but this historic season is still worth celebrating. Elena Grove and Gabriel Giving gave us a special edition of Athlete of the Week, which focused on the team effort instead of one individual.
Hey Saints, I'm Elena Grove, and this week we followed boys soccer as they prepared for their state tournament in St.
What are some things that you focused on to improve this year?
We've been focusing on moving the ball around and getting a lot of shots on goal, hopefully scoring some goals.
This singular moment, right where he was, and the Saints needed at the precise time, Christopherson picked up the path of the ball and headed a perfect shot past the helpless Duluth Benfield goalkeeper, skipping over the goal and into the net to give the Saints a dramatic 3-2 win and a trip to the state tournament.
I'd like to thank on behalf of me and my teammates, we're thankful for all the students and staff who've pushed us to be where we are in the season, and we'd like to get you all to the game tonight and see you all back in the stands.
So they can get ready for the game. As they go, I want you on your feet, I want you screaming, I want you going crazy, letting them know how much we care.
Thanks for the in-depth story on them. It's good to see what good teamwork can accomplish. Cross country had a section meet last Thursday, and apparently many on the team hit personal records. We will have interviews with some of the team in next week's broadcast. Girls volleyball took a win against Duluth East and played Blaine on the Bengals court in the second postseason game. They lost, and that brings their season to an end. Historically, this year, the girls have had a better outcome at home than away, having a 6-2 record at home and a 4-4 record away. Before we head back to the main desk, Fighting Saints football played their second postseason game against the Coon Rapids Cardinals on the Cardinals' home turf. They came up short, but they really showed tenacity this season when faced with injuries to key players. That's all for this week. Now back to Jack and Louisa on Maine.
Thanks for the updates, Mason.
To wrap up this week's broadcast, we'll head over to Reed Pastois, Grace Kolb, and Trevor Patterson for Whip of the Week.
I'm Trevor Patterson.
I'm Reed Pastois.
Grace Kolb.
This is Whip of the Week.
Hi, my name is Gabe Krubach. This is my 2008 F350. That's 37-inch tires, 10-inch lift, and a 6.4. It was twin turbo and has a 6-inch MBRP exhaust.
This week we did Gabe Kronbach's twin turbo F350.
Tune in for next week's Whip of the Week.
Be sure to check out our social media accounts and our school news website at sfhscrier.com.
That'll be all for this week, Saints. Thank you for tuning in to SFHS Today. Stay safe and have a great week.